Hey everyone. You know, as leaders, we all like to think we're objective, that we make our big decisions based on pure, cold, hard facts. But what if I told you that our minds have this hidden architecture, a whole set of mental shortcuts that are quietly shaping every single judgment we make? Today, we're going to take a look at that architecture and figure out how to navigate it. So let's just start with a really direct question. Think about the last big call you had to make at work. Are you 100% sure it was based only on the facts? Or could there have been something else kind of pulling the strings in the background? You know, this whole idea of a perfectly objective leader, it's pretty much a myth. And hey, that's not our fault. It's because our brains are just hardwired for efficiency. To handle the millions of bits of info flying at us every day, our brain has no choice but to create these little hidden shortcuts. And these shortcuts, they have a name: cognitive biases. They're basically unconscious patterns of thinking that help us simplify a really complex world. And honestly, they're incredibly useful. But they can also lead to some serious systematic errors in our judgment, especially when we're in a leadership position. So how about we pull back the curtain on 5 of the most common cognitive biases out there? These are the ones that are secretly shaping your leadership decisions, from who you hire to how you manage a project. Let's kick things off with a big one, the availability bias. This one is all about what you can remember. Basically, if you can remember something really easily, your brain just kind of assumes it must be more important or happen more often than things that are harder to recall. Easy to remember equals important. It's a simple little equation, but it's often a really flawed one. So here's how this actually plays out at work. Imagine a team member has an incredible 11 months, just absolutely crushing it. But then they have a tough final few weeks. The availability bias can actually lead a manager to put way too much weight on that recent struggle in a performance review, just because it's the freshest memory. Okay, next up, we have a bias that can have a huge influence on negotiations and planning. It's called the anchoring bias. This bias is all about the power of the first number. Once an initial piece of information, what we call the anchor, is thrown out there, it becomes the reference point for every single judgment that follows, whether it's relevant or not. I mean, this is the classic example for a reason. If a candidate says they're looking for $100,000, that number, boom, it anchors the entire negotiation around it. Even if the company was only planning to offer $80,000, the whole discussion is now framed by that initial higher number. It's an incredibly powerful effect. All right, next up is the representation bias. This one is all about our brain's love of patterns and, yeah, stereotypes. Our brains are fantastic at matching patterns. This bias kicks in when we make a judgment by comparing a person or a situation to a mental model we already have in our heads. We ask ourselves, how much does this look like my prototype of a successful hire? So let's say your best ever data analyst came from University X. You might unconsciously favor the next candidate you see from that same school. You're matching them to a successful prototype, and you might not even realize you're overlooking a better candidate from a university you have no stereotype for. Number 4 is a fascinating one, the coherence bias. This is our inner storyteller at work. Our minds absolutely crave narratives that make sense. So when we're faced with incomplete information, we have this tendency to just fill in the blanks, to create a story that feels complete and coherent, even if we have to ignore a few contradictory details to do it. You hear a few positive details about a new initiative, and your brain just quickly constructs this story of guaranteed success. You become invested in that story, and you might start overlooking early warning signs because they just don't fit the neat, coherent narrative you've already created. And finally, we have the framing bias, which really shows that how you say something is often just as important as what you say. This bias shows that our choices can be manipulated simply by changing the frame of reference, by presenting the exact same information as either a gain or a loss. Just take a look at this. These two options describe the exact same statistical reality. But which one feels better? Which one are you more likely to approve? Most of us are drawn to option A because it's framed as a gain. That, right there, is the framing bias in action. So, okay, we've identified the problem. But the good news is that we're not powerless here. The goal isn't to somehow eliminate these biases. I mean, that's pretty much impossible. The goal is to recognize them and manage them, to move from unconscious bias to conscious balance. And here's the framework for that. It all starts with recognition, which is exactly what we're doing right now. Then you learn to identify these patterns in your day-to-day thinking. This allows you to strengthen your decision-making process and ultimately guide your team with way more objectivity and fairness. And this is the key takeaway, really. Building the architecture of objective leadership is an active process. It's a skill that you develop through awareness and practice. Objective leaders aren't born with this ability. They build it, one conscious decision at a time. So, as we wrap up, I'll leave you with this question. Now that you know them, which of these 5 biases are you going to look for and challenge in your own thinking this week? Your journey to more objective leadership starts with that first step,